Hi, good day, guys. Rocky again, and welcome to yet another one of my software installation videos. For the past few videos, we've been using the Windows Server 2008 R2, and this one will be no different. So, what we're going to be looking at is the Windows Deployment Services, or WDS. Now, this service is a server technology from Microsoft for network-based installation of Windows operating systems. It is the successor to Remote Installation Services, or RIS, right? And it's intended to be used for remotely deploying Windows Vista, Windows 7, those Windows-based operating systems, Windows 8, Server 2008, and it also supports other operating systems. Right now, because unlike RIS, it which was actually a method for automating the installation process, WDS uses disk imaging, right? And in particular, image format called Windows image format, right? And it is included as a server role, right, in Windows 2008, and this is what we're actually going to be looking at today. So with the use of WDS, this would mean that many of you network managers or help desk personnel actually who do a lot of these installations of operating systems on client PCs, you won't actually have to be walking around with the DVD or the CDs with all these different applications on them. You can just simply pull out the images of the server and install them on the PC itself. So first we need to go to the server. Right now, as I said before, it is a server role, so we can either go to add roles from this initial configuration toolbox or taskbar that we have here. Right, so we can go add roles, and when it does come up, right, we go to server roles and we go down to WDS, or Windows Deployment Services. Right, so we click next. Now you want to have the deployment server and the transport server, right? And if you want to read the description here, it provides the full functionality of the Windows deployment system, which you can also use to configure remote installations of the Windows operating systems. So basically what I said earlier on, right? You will click next, install. So now we will just wait for the Windows deployment services to actually install on the system itself. So we have the installation succeeded. So we have the WDS services. Click close, and we go back to roles. Well, let's go to the server manager. Okay, and we go to roles and WDS deployment services, servers. And when we click here, you see that the status for this server is not configured, right? If you want to activate it, it's not configured. First verify that you are a local administrator, and then you right click. So basically it's not configured. So what we need to do is we need to right click, click configure server. Okay, next. Now what you see here is basically the asking you for where you want your actual images to be placed on, or your image, which is your actual image folder, what folder you want to have your images stored. Now remember, image installation and boot images are very large, so if it is you have probably another hard drive that has a lot more space, you could actually store it on that. So you will actually change the disk disk here, the path, the EF or whatever it is that you have your other drive assigned to. For this tutorial, we're going to leave it as C, and when you actually click next here, you will see they ask you, or they give you the warning that indicates that it should be placed on a separate volume where possible, on a separate disk from your C drive. And the reason for that is basically because of the volume of space that the image folders actually take up. But for now, we're going to leave it at the C drive. Yes. Now you continue to read here, and they indicate to you if your dynamic host configuration protocol is on the server. You need to check all both of these here. Alright, and if you continue to read, it would indicate to you that if it is not on this server, they would indicate which one to choose. Right, but click next. Now this part of the wizard here asks you basically in terms of when the physical computer performs a PXE boot. Right, so you will let's click down to respond to all clients. Right, so in that case, any known or unknown, once they send out a PXE boot request, the server will automatically respond to it, and you know, they will boot to the server. Right, click next. So now that it's completed, it asks you here for if it is you want to add images to your server now. I'll cancel this now, so because I want to show you exactly how to get it without going through that way. So now that we have the Windows deployment services on the server, now we're going to go. First thing we're going to do is get the boot image. Now, as I said, I'm going to show you how to do it manually without running through the wizard. So we right click here, add boot, browse, and we're going to go into what you call the source. Well, normally from here we go down to the source folder. Alright, this is the image this is the CD in the CD-ROM here, and we go down the source folder and we go to boot, because we're going to be doing the boot image, and this is the Windows format, boot image. Have it here, click next, and the defaults, click next. Now this is it's actually taking the image off the DVD here and starting to add it to the server files itself. Okay, so now it's finished. So now the image is actually successfully on the server. Click finish. Now secondly, after we have this obviously the architecture, the if it is we wanted a 64-bit or a 32-bit, we obviously had to have that CD, right, in the DVD drive. So it will pull the image. Now we go down to the install the image actually. We're actually going to install, and they ask you to create a group because we don't have a group here. Click next, and we go through the same process of going down to the source file and getting the image, installing the image file. Okay, click next. Now they're going to ask you which one of the Windows 7 you actually want to install, 64-bit or the 86-bit. So you need to choose which one. We're going to go with the 86. Alright, and click next. Alright, so this is a 32-bit activation. Now this is going to take up a bit of a while because actually installing the image file. The image file is pretty large. So what we can do is, well, I guess going to come back when we actually have this image file completed. So there we see the image has been added. Now from here we're going to attempt to see if it actually works. So we have a new Windows 7 client machine, and we're just going to the settings. Now what you need to do is obviously make sure that the network settings for this machine is on the same network as your server machine. Okay, so network tab. Okay, so just check the network adapter. We have the host only adapter and the Ethernet adapter. Right, advanced. Right, just to ensure that you can access the server via the network card that you have on your Windows 7. So now we're going to start the machine, or start the empty machine, and it's going to request that you go in and do the, remember you need to function F12. Once it is, you see the request come up. So now start the Windows 7 machine and it requests for F12. So you click F12. Asks you here for what other boot devices. So you go to the L or LAN boot device and you click function F12 again, and it automatically starts to boot or load boot files. Right, now you see that it is actually booting from the server. Here you see the 192.168.1.1, and that is your server, and it's booting the files, the image boot files, right, from the boot file. So it's actually booting the server information, or sorry, booting the Windows 7 files from the boot file that was created on the server. Right, so we'll allow this to run, and the initial setup continues. Yeah. Okay, so we see that the startup is starting here. So you will continue with the normal setup procedures for the Windows 7, and many of you all have done setup before, so you just more or less follow the setup or the installation wizard as it goes along, and you will get your Windows 7 machine that will be created directly for the domain of your server, or your whatever domain that you have. Right, so that is the WDS Windows Deployment Services, and as you can see, it's very useful in terms of getting information from one source, which would be your server, and spreading it throughout your network onto any client machine that is connected to your domain. Right, so thanks very much for looking on. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will come back soon to see how much new information you can receive from my videos. And this is Rocky. Thanks again, and goodbye.